Hello, my name is Jacob W. Glazier. I'm an assistant professor of psychology at the University of West Georgia, and my brief video presentation today is entitled Critical Approaches to Exceptional Experiences. So what do I mean by critical approaches? Critical theory and its various offshoots began in the mid to late 20th century, and some of the more well-known approaches include feminism, psychoanalysis, the form of methodology based on the work of Michel Foucault, deconstruction, and Marxism. And in general, we can see these critical approaches are used to trace, deconstruct, or even subvert, sometimes reclaim or turn back more normative, hegemonic totalities or structures. And so I think critical theory and its various offshoots is in a very interesting position in relation to offering parapsychology and psi studies additional help at becoming more legitimate, more reputable, and not just that, but challenging the larger meta-narrative that physicalist science or even certain forms of media have sort of foisted on our understanding of what is real, what is truth, so on and so forth. Exceptional experiences comes to us from Rael White, where she called these originally exceptionally human experiences to emphasize the human element, but she also wanted to bring forward the embodied and transpersonal nature of the paranormal. And this is in stark contradistinction to experimentalism and scientific orthodoxy, in the sense that White and others advocate that we study the paranormal in a more naturalistic setting. To put it differently, psi as a variable, as a signifier, as that elusive whatever that we cannot seem to get a hold of via experimental standards, protocols, and eventually results, is an abstraction. And this abstraction is necessitated by the laboratory. To put it in terms that critical theory would use, psi is a sterile and deplete metaphor that has very little semantic depth and breadth to it. And as a result of that, we could ask ourselves, it's no wonder that psi has remained so elusive. And the importance of metaphor that Williams reminds us, especially in terms of parapsychology, comes about after the linguistic turn in the academy and more broadly. And it's Rael White that Williams says that first called for a return to an analysis of metaphor and more generally to an analysis of narrative and the importance that narrative has on co-constructing reality and admitting or not admitting certain phenomena, certain beings into our maps of reality. And it's just that metaphors, tropes, motifs, all of these go towards producing these sorts of frameworks. And it's critical theory with its tools for textual nuance that is hyper aware of this and is, I argue, best suited to help parapsychology and psi studies undo the sort of violence that has been done to its reputability, to its institutional status. Some examples of metaphors we get here. Williams talks about how parapsychology has viewed the paranormal in terms of intrusions, transmissions and forces, connections. Rael White likened psi to quicksilver or mercury. And of course, Hansen understood the paranormal as a sort of trickster archetype or a trickster figure. But outside of parapsychology, for example, when we talk about the mind-body problem, William James used the metaphor of a prism that light would pass through to understand the brain. Others have talked about the brain as a sort of antenna, radio tuner, or most popularly today, a machine or a computer. Those metaphors that have gone by the wayside include those from alchemy, phrenology, and more specifically, things like N-rays or phlogiston. And so if we want to conceptualize this as a sort of pyramid, a hierarchy of reality, we get exceptional experiences at the bottom, then we get talk, discourse, and narrative. And then next to last, we get these important devices called metaphors that help shape our imagination of the world. And then finally, we get the production of truth, knowledge, and these overarching meta-narratives. Some possible avenues for critical inquiry. I'm not going to go over all of these. I invite you to download the white paper that goes along as a supplement to this presentation. But for example, we could read the tropes of parapsychology against the grain of typical scientific text. We may be able to use feminist or other critical theories to deconstruct misogyny and experimentalism in parapsychology, or consider animism from a post-colonial lens, ancestors and indigenous peoples as non-normative or subjugated forms of knowledge that we could then learn from and perhaps even incorporate into our own research practices. Thank you for attending my brief video presentation. Please reach out to me via my email address on the white paper or on the title slide with any questions or additional thoughts. Thank you so much.